Hey there, cozy babe, and welcome back to the coziest, most autumnal corner of the internet. My name is Chloe Taylor, and today we are going to be discussing kind of like a soft autumn reset. Y'all know that I am a big fan of productivity. I'm a big fan of resetting your life. I'm a big fan of just really kind of making sense of the chaos. But I will say this month in particular, we are in the middle of eclipse season, which on my Patreon, I did a whole deep dive on eclipse season, as well as going over the astrology and the tarot for this month. So if you want to know more about that, you can check that out. But this month, we are currently right at smack dab in the middle of these major lunations where we just had a full moon lunar eclipse. We are building now into, or waning down into, a new moon solar eclipse in the sign of Virgo. So I do feel like in terms of like making big sweeping decisions in your life, this isn't like the best month to be doing that. When it comes to eclipses, it's kind of like a wait and see what happens kind of energy. And I do feel like for me, y'all will have to let me know in the comments how it's going for you. For me, I do feel like this set of eclipses I thought was going to be crazier, especially because I have the solar eclipse coming up is happening by degree directly on top of my midheaven. So I am kind of anticipating that one a little bit. But if you're an astrology girly, you know what I'm talking about. But I really thought this was going to be significantly more intense. And I feel like it has actually been like a lot of clarity, a lot of reprieve from intensity. It's been a very like foundational, like resetting point for me. It's felt very healing. And I mean, I do think that's accurate because Pisces and Virgo are the signs that these are taking place in between. And I do feel that both of these signs, they're healing, but in a different way. So like Pisces is more of that like faithful spiritual healing, purifying. Purification was like the word of the month to me. And then Virgo is more about like the physical vessel, a very grounded approach to healing and purification. So I do feel like between these lunations, it's been like kind of a softer ride, at least for me. Tell me how it's going for you, because you also could have like a bunch of shit in your birth chart making this very different for you. But I was like, how can I talk about an autumn reset, but something that is maybe a little bit more down to earth, more grounded? We're not overhauling our whole life. I feel like I have to kind of speak a little bit to the girl boss gatekeep gaslight culture of 2010 because y'all know I am like the 30 somethings girl for like the people that are into like that girl energy. I'm the girl that's in my 30s that brings that to the internet because I think it's very popular in like Gen Z culture. It's very popular in 20 somethings culture, but I think, and no matter how old you are, we're not trying to play ageism here, but I do think that there is kind of a different air around being that person in your life when you're in your 30s. And that's where I'm at. I'm 34. I talk about it all the time. I'm a 34-year-old lady. I do think it kind of comes to a different place. Like, not for everybody. Everybody has a different experience, but I'll speak for myself, which is always the place that I'm speaking from. My 30s, I feel like, are just now finally starting to get good. Like the first 4 years were really terrible, and I could not have anticipated that, but I feel like they're just now starting to get good. And I feel like if I could be that, like we had a Big Sister episode a couple of weeks ago. Many of you loved that episode. I think the Big Sister episodes are like our strong suit. That is like what every season we cover one of those. And everybody, every time I have made one, y'all are like, holy crap. So we're going to keep making those. There will be a winter one later this year. But something that really like came to my awareness, and this does pertain to what we're talking about today. Something that really came to my awareness is that I'm not really in my like hustle grind, girl boss gatekeep gaslight era anymore, and anybody that was in it back when like hustle culture is still like over the top. It's everywhere. Hustle culture is still really ingrained in today's culture, unfortunately. But I feel like I have reached my limit with that, and I have truly burnt out, to the point that it like took like a physical, spiritual, mental toll on me. And I haven't talked about it like I think, too much in detail because I never want to give off the impression that any of my like online or digital life has not been a place of gratitude, a place where I think I've had a lot of privilege. I've had a lot of great opportunities. A lot of cool things have happened. And I never want to sit here from this position and be like, oh, but it was terrible, because that's not the whole picture. It isn't. It's not the whole picture. There are many wonderful things. If I didn't love the process of creation, of video editing, of sitting and talking and having a very open conversation, I would not have done any of the online careers hustling that I did, if it wasn't like something that I truly derived some form of pleasure from. But I do feel like we're in this like weird timeline right now where, and I don't know if I said it last week. I might have. I also may have said it just like on Patreon. So apologies if I'm getting those places mixed up. I might be repeating myself, but if you're coming across me for the first time, like this might be something you really need to hear. I am really of the mind right now that we do not have social media. We have viral media. We do not have what we had pre 2020, pre 2015. We don't have this like cute, cozy internet anymore. And I think like that's why I like to show up and do this podcast, is because I don't want to sit and like use AI to make my content. I don't want to, even though that might be putting me quote unquote behind everybody else that's in the creative fields. I want to be the person. And like I said, this does lead into what we're talking about today. But if you don't want to hear this, just like jump ahead. There'll be timestamps. But we don't have social media anymore. We have viral media. It's not cozy. We know literally Mark Zuckerberg himself. I don't even know why I'm bringing him up. We don't need to give him more airtime. Billionaires do not need more airtime. But Mark Zuckerberg himself, the creator of, he's Facebook, right? He's Meta. Facebook, Meta, he said that they know that only like 7% of the time that people spend online is spent looking at posts of friends and family. And most of us are chronically online because we all have our phones, right? So that is insane to me. And I've had to kind of look at this in my own life as I'm going through this like healing, purification, eclipse season that we're in, right? This obviously for me, it's very specific and centric to my career house because I'm a Sagittarius rising. That puts these eclipses in my 4th and 10th houses. And my midheaven is in Virgo, where the new moon eclipse is taking place. So it's forced me to kind of look at this, and it's forced me to kind of take stock of like, well, what are we doing? What are we doing? What are we here for? What is the mission? What is the message? I think for a minute there, I was kind of falling into like the camp of brain rot. Where like, to me, I think there are a few different definitions of brain rot, but to me, brain rot ultimately, it leads to like a lack of critical thinking and a lack of being able to like critically think. And I think for myself, I started to get to this place where I wasn't using AI to make my content. I've never been that kind of person. It's just not, I don't think that we need to do that. I think that, everybody has their own prerogative. Do what you're going to do. I'm not here to stand against you, but for my own personal use, I feel like I was getting to this place with hustle culture, with let's do a reset, let's revamp our lives, let's redo everything. Where in my fields, doing everything I do online, sometimes I would, and I'll openly admit to this, okay? I would use AI in a way where I would like go to ChatGPT and I would be like, hey, I have all these ideas. This is what I want my like podcast episode to be about. This is what I want to say. This is what I want my main messaging to be. And like, help me just organize that, right? I think for ADHD, it can be really helpful because sometimes you have like a lot of scattered thoughts. But that's how I was mainly using it, but using my own original ideas, just asking for help organizing. And I got to this place where I would kind of look at like the scripts, even for my podcast. And like, even though I'm big on like a bullet pointed list and then riffing off of that, I use like, again, my own voice, my own messaging, how I would do it. I got to this place where I was like, all of these lists kind of feel the same. Like, what are we even doing? And is this even like, am I even having fun creating anymore? Or am I just putting stuff out just to put it out there because we're leading ourselves back into hustle culture, into let me make something so that I am doing consistency. And if I'm consistent, I will be able to do this for a living. And if I'm able to do this for a living, like I can get my bills paid. And it just like, it leads into like, do you see what I'm saying? Like, I feel like it is a slippery slope that unfortunately, I hate to say it, I think I can be very susceptible to. And I've really just been kind of sitting back as I've been considering this like autumn reset. I felt like at first I couldn't do it without like looking to what everybody else was doing online and also like looking to like what AI would come up with. And this was a major red flag for me. I was like, Chloe, when is the last time you sat down with a notebook, okay, with like a notebook, and you were like, let's plan something out? Because this is how I used to operate. All of my content was made in a 3-ring binder notebook or a spiral bound notebook with a pen and a paper with my highlighters. This was just like me thriving. And so, all of this to say, I started to realize that I was getting the brain rot where I didn't feel like I was coming up with all of my own original thoughts using my critical thinking brain. And it kind of led me on a little bit of a spiral of like, what even is the internet? Why do we all come here just for shock value? When I say that we don't have social media anymore and we have viral media, even in like podcasting, even in the realm of tarot card reading, even in the realm of like there are creators that I think are out there doing like honest work. There are people that I look up to that I'm just like, y'all are so awesome. Keep killing it. I'm going to keep watching your content. I'm not going to name drop. But I think there is this huge push still and I think we're seeing like a lot of people crash out and burn out. Like there have been like a lot of YouTubers also in particular. Obviously, I'm talking about my niche, but like are my neck of the woods in creation that have like dropped off and been like, I'm not making YouTube anymore because this has actually become such a like a all encompassing, all focusing thing that like I can't even do it anymore. I can't have a meal with my family and not be talking about analytics and not be talking about like the algorithm and what we need to do to get ahead again. Anyways, I feel like I'm spiraling. The point I'm trying to make is that when I thought about doing a reset, I felt like at first I was like, I can't even make this episode. I feel like I'm reaching beyond myself. I know that I don't participate in hustle culture anymore. And this kind of led me on my own internal journey this month in particular, where first of all, I have completely decided no longer to be using AI at all. I don't even, there's so much in that. I'm not going to get into the ethics of that. Y'all know that I am not a political podcast. I always say that. I always want to be the reprieve for you from that because we need those people too. I think everybody is already steeped in it enough and we need places where we can find reprieve from those things. So I'm not here to like push some kind of ethical agenda at you. But from my own standpoint and hustle culture, I don't think AI is for me in the field that I work in. It's not good. I don't think it is garnering good results. I think that it's, we don't need AI to create. We need AI to do organizing that might be like a job that would be faster done by a robot. We don't need robots to create, though. Humans need to create. I would argue that humans need to create so bad. I would argue that it is a big part of the mental health epidemic that we deal with on this planet, as many people are not creating. They are hustling, trying to just live, to make a living under what we are dealing with, under societal pressure, capitalism pressure, all of that. People are just trying to live and survive, and it's hard to be in a creative state when you're trying to do that. But I have decided for myself to no longer use AI. I deleted ChatGPT, cleared all my history out. I have decided to move forward with using my own brain again, using my own paper, using my own tools, using my own creative juice to make things. And I've also within that taken like extra steps to I use a different internet browser now with all the AI features turned off. I'm no longer using, like Google Chrome and stuff. Um there's just so much. Like I deleted all my social medias off my phone again. I do that periodically. Y'all hear me talk about this all the time. I did that this time in a bigger way. In the past, I feel like I would just delete like Instagram and TikTok. This time I deleted my Patreon app. I deleted my YouTube app. I deleted my YouTube Studio app. I deleted like anything that would give me access to hundreds of opinions of other people all day long. And I still consume YouTube, like my own subscription feed. I try to stay off the home feed completely, and be intentional with the things that I'm watching and consuming. But I feel like I'm just going to say it, y'all. Doing this, it has been probably about a week and a half, almost 2 weeks. My sleep is better. I'm not as anxious all the time. Um, I'm like my ADHD symptoms have gotten better. And I don't feel like I'm missing anything. I don't feel like I'm missing anything. I don't feel like I'm out of the loop. I feel like whenever something happens, whenever something happens in the world, I am still very much notified by someone. And this is how I used to live my life. And granted, it is a privilege to be able to do that. I will always be the person that will argue if you have the privilege to disconnect like that and that the news is not something that you need to be listening to 24/7 because it is dependent on your survival, use that privilege. We are not going to be able to help each other, to help our neighbors, to help our country, to help anyone when we are coming from this state of survival and fight or flight all the time. We can show up calm, nervous system's regulated, and make better decisions. So I'm always going to fight for that. That like, if you're constantly tuned in to that, from my own experience, it just leads to this like, also something else I just need to say. It is wild to me how, and we might be getting on a little bit of a tangent right now. It is wild to me how I can have a conversation with somebody else in my life. We can know about the same scenario going on in the news and have completely different takes because our algorithms are feeding us different sides of the coin and like details that either one of us have missed. This has happened in my own life with a few different people now, of people that are either blissfully unaware of things or super aware of things that I was not aware of. And I really feel like in I'm not trying to be a conspiracy theorist, okay? But I really think that social media is perpetuating a divide. It is perpetuating a divide in human consciousness. And I'm not trying to be like on some fucking white cloud. Oh my gosh, we are all one. Kumbaya, sit by the trees. Everybody can just love each other. Like, don't get me wrong. I think that's a beautiful sentiment. I'm not trying to tell you that I don't think I'm grounded in this reality. Like, I do think I am grounded in this reality. And it's upsetting when I see how easily it can happen. And I'm just like, why are any of us consuming this? This is actually so bad. Like, this is actually so bad. And where is the truth? That probably bothers me more than anything. Where is the truth? Because I want the truth. I don't want one side of the coin. I want the truth. And I just feel like social media and the internet are just not it. And I say all of this, pulling it back to what we're going to be talking about. In doing like a reset, I think a lot of it to this day is rooted in hustle culture. And I'm just not willing to participate. I am not willing to sacrifice my health, my spiritual well-being, or my like mental or physical health in the name of chasing a dollar anymore. I'm not like, and it's so crazy because I feel like I used to be the kind of person that was like, I want to be a multimillionaire someday. I want to have like a big life and I have all these big dreams and grandiose ideas. And don't get me wrong, okay? I am a Taurus sun. I am a bougie bitch. Okay. I love nice shits. I will always tell y'all that. I love nice things. And I feel like I experience life through the senses. I love pleasurable experiences of all kinds. And I will always be that way. I don't think that that is something you'll ever be able to take out of me. I think it is part of the essence that makes me who I am. But That being said, I think we can like and appreciate nice things and goods and services without having to hustle and grind our way to living that quote unquote big life. And that's just kind of the phase of my life that I'm in right now. So when I talk about doing kind of an overhaul or a reset for the season, I'm not the thing that I don't hear anybody else saying, and I'm just going to say it like mic drop moment. You don't need to create a new version of yourself every single month in order to live a good life. This is something that I feel like I am deeply integrating and learning right now is I think don't get me wrong, I think sometimes that can be good to like do a massive purge in your life and just decide that you want things to be different. But most of the time, the life that you're seeking takes more daily grounded consistency versus always being like attached to an outcome, attached to a future version of you that doesn't feel like it's you in the present. I think there's a lot to be said about hustle culture and new age spirituality where it has kind of like overlapped. And I don't think every person that is into new age spirituality does this. I don't. I think there are some really good gems out there that like really practice what they preach and live this like very cohesive life. But I think there is a lot of like toxic, positive masking of problems to get to a future result that I just don't like. And I feel like as somebody that has had I was reading journals this past month or this past week actually of myself from like 9 years ago when these same eclipses were happening but in the reverse. We would have had the south node in Pisces, the north node in Virgo. I was still having a lot of the same problems that I have today, and many of them financial, many of them about my career. And in the last 9 years, I have pivoted so many times. And I don't think pivoting is wrong. I've seen a lot of success in choosing to cut my losses in places, but I feel like when have I ever like taken such a grounded, slow approach to anything? You know, I feel like I've always kind of been on this fast track of like, I'm going to get that and I'm going to make it happen. And I'm watching all of these other like examples online of people doing that thing. And every month it's a new reset. Every month I got to lock in. Every month I have to overhaul my whole life. And no, I actually think in order to get concrete change, you have to be willing to sit down and do some hard work. And it's not about just like, I think Manifestation Babe says it the best. Like, it's like putting glitter on shit, basically. And if you put glitter on shit, the shit is still shit. It still stinks. Like, it doesn't, just because you made a vision board doesn't mean that your whole reset is going to come to fruition and your life's going to look like that. It actually takes a lot of consistent time, energy, and effort. And this is why I'm not a fan of the Great Lock-In. You are not going to catch me. And if you see it, be like, Chloe, somebody kidnapped her. Something happened. She is not well. I am not doing the Great Reset or the Great Lock-In for this year. I am done. I'm done. I am so done with that energy. If you're looking for that energy, you have come to the wrong place, because this to me is what a reset looks like in your 30s when you're like, it's just not the same. And I'm not trying to like dog 20 something year olds in the slightest. I love Gen Z. It actually really pisses me off when I see people online trying to pit Gen Z and millennials against each other, because not even just like not only do I just have such a love for the generation, but even astrologically speaking, millennials are the Scorpio in Pluto or Pluto in Scorpio generation. Gen Z is the Sagittarius, the Pluto in Sagittarius generation. We go extremely well together. Or no, I'm sorry. Did I say that right? Yeah, no, that's right. We go extremely well together. Scorpio is about burning down systems, which, hello. And Sagittarius is going to help us with like the new thoughts, the new ideas, rebuilding. And I really think Gen Alpha is going to be like really here to lay down some stuff. But I just feel like I am so done. I will not do to Gen Z I don't want what boomers and millennials have. I don't want that. And I feel like if history has taught us anything, we need to do better. If you are a millennial and you are constantly shitting on Gen Z, you need to do better. You need to recognize that everybody was young once. Everybody was young once. And also Gen Z is like right behind us. Like some of them I think are hitting like their Saturn return points. Some of them are like almost 30, might even be 30 by now. So like we need to stop with that. We need to stop with that. Anyways, this to me, this is like the fall reset of a 30 something. This is a softer, slower, grounded approach of not doing a great lock in, of just like actually trying to fill your life with goodness and bring like mature responses to things into your life. And I am just going to say it. We'll probably talk about it more later in the episode. I do think me going back to therapy has really helped. We're going to talk about that a little bit. But in any case, the first thing I want to talk about is kind of what I've been talking about a little bit, which is that in order to do any kind of reset in your life, to like decide that you want to kind of go onto a new path and you want to change some things because things just don't really feel correct, right? Or maybe you have a certain goal in mind and you want to reach it and you need to kind of do a little bit of a take stock and reset to realign with that goal. The first thing you really need to ask yourself is, where's the pain? Where is the pain in your life? What hurts? And I'm not talking about like hurts that you can't solve. Like me having abandonment issues from an absent mother, I can't solve that by myself. Like, yes, I can go to therapy. Yes, I can learn to be my own inner parent. Is doing a reset routine, changing my whole life, going to give me that relationship and put it in my life? No. Like, I'm not talking about that kind of reset, even though I think there are a lot of tools you can bring into your life. I'm talking about like, what do you feel like is a repeating cycle in your life that could be more in your control? So like for me, we've talked about it numerous times, but like I have had a lot of financial hardship in my adult life, especially when it comes to my stability. I've had a car repossessed. I've had to flee living situations multiple times for multiple different reasons. Some of them my fault, some of them not my fault. And this has led to a lot of me feeling like there is no foundation under me. And you'd be surprised how easy it is to fall into that, especially if you've never been given the teachings of financial literacy. I will die on the hill that if you never were taught financial literacy growing up and you have to teach yourself that as an adult, you're going to go through a lot of experiences in your life, most likely, that are going to force you to have to come to terms with that. I definitely feel like that has been my thing. That has been my experience. I have had a lot of destabilizing things happen. Like I said, some of them were my fault. Some of them I don't feel like were my fault. It's been both sides of that coin. And I can honestly show up and say that like sometimes it was my poor choices that put me in situations that were not safe. And other times I felt like I did everything I could to try to rectify situations and nothing got better. So, that being said, I feel like looking at where the pain is in my own life, something that kept coming up is like, and it's so funny because the North Node in Pisces, I know I keep bringing astrology up, but like I am an astrologer, like I offer astrology readings. I have Pisces in my fourth house of the home. And so like the North Node being in Pisces, it does not surprise me that I have a really intense drive and pull to obtain stability and like to purge anything from my life that is not giving me that. So you have to ask yourself what hurts. For me, having a lack of foundation or stability or like financial safety has been the hurt in my life for more than a decade. This has been a painful experience. It has led me to a lot of uncertainty. It has put me through hell and back. And I have been through numerous times of trying to quote unquote fix this problem, but never from a place of like, I don't care what has to fall out of my life for me to make this better. I don't want it anymore. I don't care if it's people. I don't care if it's friends that I need to let go of. I don't care if it's jobs I need to let go of. I am at my wit's end with this, and mark my words, after these eclipses in this, I will never experience this shit again. Like, you're never going to hear Chloe coming out here being destabilized that way ever again. And I feel like there's a lot of conviction in that when you can say that to yourself and mean it. But like, I feel like you could probably hear that in my voice of like how much I mean that. I am currently in the process of that. But that's my thing. Where in your life do you feel like there has been a reoccurring issue? And where, like, what is the quote unquote poison? Is the poison, a lack of routine around meal times? Is the poison a lack of routine around financial literacy? Is the poison in your life a job that is really pulling all of your energy out of you? Where is the poison? Where is the point in your life that is not feeling in alignment? It doesn't feel good to you, because that's number one, is finding that. And point number two is actually going to be kind of like doing the energetic work to release that. So, gosh, I feel like I could say so much about this, but I have to be careful because I do practice witchcraft. And with witchcraft, you don't expose your shit online. Like, I hate to break it to you, but I'm not going to sit here and tell you all of my like protection spells. I'm not going to sit here and tell you how I cleanse parts of my life, because it's not that I want to it's not that I want to it's not that I want to gaslight, gatekeep, girl boss. It's that I have to keep myself safe. And unfortunately, putting yourself out online, there are people that would intend me harm. Even if they don't mean it, some people don't realize that they have like an intense evil eye stare. Basically, some people don't know that they have that kind of power. And then having it projected at me, it like, if I tell people how I cleanse that out of my life, it gives them an easier way to put it back. So I can't just be like telling you all of my stuff. Unfortunately, if you were like a dear friend that was in my neighborhood, I would totally be like, yeah, blah, blah, blah. But we don't know each other like that. And I can't just be spilling all of that online. The thing that I will say is like some really great resources. I'm always going to recommend Bahati Life to you. She is somebody that is a YouTuber that makes content around this stuff. She has older videos that are like so fire for stuff like this. But I'm a big fan of like doing a cleanse, doing a release, doing what you got to do for your physical body and your physical spaces. I will always tell you, and I will die on this hill. Okay, there's like a lot of hills I will die on, but I will really die on this one because I've seen it work many times. If you feel like there is stuff that like your life just doesn't feel like it's going anywhere, you feel like you've been at a stalemate, or like things have just been not moving, or like anytime you try to get things going, it's not working, you need to clean your physical space and your physical self. So when I say your physical space, I mean you need to be decluttering. Anything you're not using that is just collecting dust, get rid of it. Get rid of the dust. Do a floor wash through your entire home. Like, you need to get the crap out. And then you need to do that with your physical vessel. However you do that, any kind of cleansing ritual, any kind of like bath, shower ritual. You don't have to do a bath or a shower ritual, though I would recommend. There are a multitude of ways to do cleansing work on yourself. If you don't feel like you're versed in doing it yourself, like I said, check out Bahati Life on YouTube. She's fantastic. You can also check out if you have like local metaphysical shops, or there's like witch shops that are close to me that I could go to and probably ask for assistance if I needed it. I also have local friends that could help me with this. So, really go to those places and like do what is recommended. Give it a try, because I'm going to tell you right now, I'm not going to tell you what I did, but I did some cleansing work today for the first time. This is actually so diabolical. I love that word, diabolical. This is actually so diabolical. As somebody that has an internet presence, I used to be so good about protection magic. I would protect every time I did something. I have not been up on my protection magic in probably a couple of years. I have not I maybe have saged myself or done something like that every once in a while, but really done some serious protection cleansing work. I don't think I have done that in a few years. No wonder my energy was feeling like shit. I did this. I immediately felt lighter. You would be surprised how far that goes. Literally immediately. It was an immediate turnaround. when I did this. And it only took me all of like 20, 30 minutes, if that. And it was an immediate, my energy shifted. Like, I don't know how to explain it to you other than that magic is real and that it works, but like I felt prettier. I felt like I could do anything. My positive energy, like totally, it was like, I felt like I had just like murky energy. I don't know how else to explain it. And then I did this and I felt like immediately I was happier. Like I felt a lightness in my body that I haven't felt in a really long time. And I was like, damn, I'm going to make that a part of my, like every month, I'm going to be doing that because that like as soon as I finish this episode, I'm gonna go like text all the people closest to me and be like, you need to do this. Like this will make a shift. You will feel lighter. That was insane. But yes, doing a physical detox of all kind or cleanse of all kinds. And then also doing a cleanse of your social media, whether that is you actually deleting things because you don't need all those opinions in your face 24/7. Trust me, you don't. Like the fact that I took social media off my devices and stopped interacting, and like I will still go and like check comments of things, and like at maybe like one time a week I'll go in and like look at my YouTube comments, look at my podcast comments, and make sure that I'm like interacting with my community because I do care. um but outside of that, the room that I have for my hobbies is unmatched. Like I'm playing so many video games. I'm building Lego sets. I've read like 2 books in the last 2 weeks. I'm spending more time in nature. I went back to therapy. There have been so many good things that have taken the place of me just doom scrolling every day. So 10 out of 10 recommend just a full on delete. But if you can't do that for whatever reason, no shade intended, it's good to just go through and like maybe set some alerts for like, I only want to spend an hour here a day. Especially if you're not using social media for work, I would encourage even more like stricter crackdowns on that for yourself. But I think that that's just like a really good place to start, is like asking yourself where the poison is, sucking that poison out of your life, and like doing an actual cleanser detox, whether it is energetically, metaphysically, spiritually, whatever you need to do the cleansing work. I still need to do like house cleansing. That's definitely like my next step, is going to be going through my house room by room and like really going for it. That's something I want to complete this month because I want to make room for new in my life. And right now I don't feel like all the energy that's hanging around is giving that to me. So I'm going to like move it around. I have so many stories on that, by the way, if you want to hear more about like times that I have done that and it has been very successful. Okay, let us move on. So the next thing with a reset for this season is probably the most fun part about a reset to me, and that is you got to dream. You got to let yourself dream. Now that you're feeling lighter, your spaces are clean, you have to let yourself dream on what the next phase of your life is going to look like. And like I said, this is not about getting carried away. This is not become unrecognizable. Okay. We've already done that. We've been burnt out on that. It's about how can you be more intentional and present with where you are right now, with what you have right now, and maybe adding a few things that you would like to see. So I have a vision board. I will, if you're watching the video, I'll slot that in for you right here. This is my autumn vision board. Do I think every single thing on this vision board is going to come true this season? No. There are a couple of things on here that I don't anticipate, it could happen whenever it happens, but there are a few things on this board that have been on numerous boards that I've had that like I just carry them onto every board until they happen. There are some things that I know for a fact are going to happen this season because they're already planned, signed and sealed. But like I like doing kind of a collaboration of both of these things. And so I keep my vision boards pretty simple. Like there's a lot of decor on mine. There's like a stuffed animal that me and my friend both bought the quote unquote skin of. That sounds terrible. It's not a real animal. It's literally like a fake stuffed animal, but we just bought the fur part. And we're going to go together to Build-A-Bear when she comes and visits me this Halloween, and we're going to go fill them together. So like some of these things I should say, I already like have planned out to go and do them. But like, dream big, let yourself kind of ask like, what do I want to see for my future in this season? And don't go for all of these like super far reaching goals. I think that sometimes can lead us to disappointment. Not that I don't think you are capable or that it is possible. I think sometimes we just really underestimate, like, your life literally doesn't need to change overnight. Obviously, if you're in a dire situation, I can really respect that. But like, you don't need to go from driving a car that serves you to the nicest car you've ever driven overnight. Like, yes, that's a wonderful thing. I'm not trying to shade anybody who wants that. But I do feel like for myself, when I try to do things like that, I end up, I feel like, pushing myself too far too fast. And then I've watched things in my life fall apart because I wasn't energetically ready to hold those things. And so right now in my life, we're not doing the lock-in season. We're doing this slower paced thing because I want to have the nervous system regulation that is required for me to actually hold the things that I want in my future and appreciate them instead of being afraid. If you've never experienced that, I might sound kind of crazy, but I've actually lived through that numerous times in my lifetime where I've manifested something really, really, really cool that I really wanted, but I didn't have the support structures in place to hold it. And then I would lose it. And that's more heartbreaking to me. So, and I'm not saying that like everything has to be permanent and we keep everything forever, but do you get what I'm saying? Like, anyways. I think for the reset, you do have to give yourself, spruce up your vision board. If you have one, just add a couple new things to it. It doesn't have to be a big overhaul. And then probably the biggest part of this like autumn reset is we do got to look at our habits. So I would encourage you to go watch my podcast where I talked about like how to actually like healthy habits, because a lot of us like want to make change, but then we try to do it and like it doesn't work or we fall off or whatever. How do we get ourselves to actually like and enjoy healthy habits, right? So I made a whole episode that already covers that and I'll link it for you down below. But that's my first point, is like watch that if you haven't. And I just kind of want to talk to you about some of the habits that I have implemented that are just, to me, very simple, that have made a world's difference this coming into this season for myself. So y'all know that Chloe Taylor goes back and forth with her sleep schedule. Okay. I am somebody that would prefer to be an early riser, but I also struggle with really bad generalized anxiety. And sometimes that generalized anxiety gives insomnia. I don't think that I struggle with like chronic insomnia because I am able to sleep. I am able to get myself there and I am able to like have a routine. Truly, when I am following it, I'm okay. I am not sitting and spiraling and not sleeping. That like I am able to do it. But I do feel like something that I have changed recently, and I want to say it's audio only, so you can't get it on YouTube. It was like episode 100 and something. It's in my, if you go back and look at like any podcast place, Spotify, Apple, what have you, there's an episode where I talked about sleep hygiene. And that episode I know helped a lot of people because I've struggled and I was very open with my struggle about sleep hygiene and how hard that is for me. And something new, though, that I started doing that has totally changed the game for me that I did not mention, I don't think, in that original episode, because I don't think I knew about it, is that if you struggle with sleep and like good sleep hygiene, yes, making a sleep routine is a good idea. Like having a wind down routine that you follow is really great. But something that no one has ever said to me that is just such good advice, and it has changed everything, is a lot of times people with insomnia will obsess about the hours of sleep they're going to get. So like for myself, you might relate to this, you might not. If I know that I have to be up the next day and I know that I'm not tired, I will stress so much. And this is like giving insomnia a little bit. I will stress so much and I'll keep counting the hours of like, oh, so much time has passed. I'm not going to get enough sleep, which then activates my health anxiety. I have really, 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 really bad health anxiety. And I will start to spiral on, if I don't get enough sleep, my body's going to like fail and all these bad things are going to happen because I'm sleep deprived, which I know sounds probably crazy to nobody who, so to people that don't experience that, that sounds insane. Like mothers, fathers lose sleep all the time when they have a new child. This is so normal in today's culture. I am convinced that if I lose like one night of sleep, my health is going to rapidly decline. And I will spiral on this. But something that I have started doing that has totally changed the game is instead of insisting with myself, I am going to bed at this time. I want this many hours of sleep. This is my wake up time. I have to be on this rigid schedule. I have basically created a wind down routine where I'm not focused on all of that. I'm focused on, these are the magic words, making room for sleep. I'm not making sleep happen. I'm not forcing myself to sleep. I am making room for sleep to happen when it naturally happens. So like it takes all the pressure off basically. And when I'm laying in bed, I've also just given up the idea of no screens in bed. I know that is such a hot take, controversial of like today's wellness culture. I have given up on the idea that I will ever be a no screens in bed kind of person. I don't need my phone. I don't scroll on social media, which I think is the thing that will keep me awake. I love TV in bed. I love TV in bed. I loved it when I was a kid. That's how I used to fall asleep as a kid. I think being a Gemini moon, too, being like all air moons, to be honest, but a Gemini moon, we really thrive with background noise. And I feel like having this constant like background noise helps me. I don't need it all night. I just need it to fall asleep. And so like I'll put like a nice like cozy show on my tablet, nothing crazy. And usually within one episode I conk out. So like I've just accepted that I need TV to sleep. It's okay. I'm not a bad person. I'm not less well because I've decided to do this thing. It is actually okay for me to do this. I actually think it would be so sick to, this is so goofy, but I think it would be so cool to get one of those like old 90s TVs that you could put in your kitchen, like one with a VCR player, like a tiny one, put it on my nightstand and just watch like old VCR movies on like a tube TV. I think that would be so cool. Not just for like the retroness of it, but I think it would also be like very nervous system healing because you open a streaming service on my iPad in this case, which is what I use, and you just have so many choices in front of you. Imagine like limiting your choices and going back to like an older form of media. I don't know if that's just copium. Maybe I'm just trying to cope, but I actually think that would be so sick. Like I'm definitely on the lookout for a TV like that when hopefully I'll be able to thrift one eventually. I just think that that would be so like, it would just be so good, you know? It would just like, and my nightstand definitely has room for something like that. And then I like, it doesn't connect to Wi-Fi. So I don't have like all these like, I don't know. I don't like, I'm not trying to be again a conspiracy theorist, and I'm not trying to be like the pipeline with the crunchy to the whatever, but I do feel like we don't really know the effects of all of these machines being around us all the time. And I think I would just prefer to kind of go back to something a little bit more simple. I don't even know like how these TVs work, so I might be talking out my ass right now, but I don't know. I think it would just be kind of nostalgic and cool at the same time. So that's the vibe for the sleeping, okay? For me, one of my big habits is working on sleeping and just making more space for that. The next thing is I started using a habit tracker and not like, here are 10 habits I want to change, blah, blah, blah. It's this app, and I'll put a thing on the screen so you can see it. It's this habit tracker app. It is paid. I'm sorry, it is paid, but it's like a one-time purchase. You purchase it once and then never again. So one-time purchase, I think it was like $7, which I didn't think was bad for considering what I got. And then I have a widget that sits on my phone that I'm only tracking 3 things right now. I am tracking if I am getting up at the time I said that I would. I am tracking if I have intermittent fasted, which is something I'm working on right now. And I am tracking if I have walked that day. 20 minutes is what I'm aiming for because I really fell off my workout routine recently. And I'm just trying to build the consistency of working out. I'm not really focused on the speed or the like longevity right now. I'm just trying to show up every day for a 20-minute walk. So if I'm doing those three things most of the time, I feel really good about that. So just keeping a little like habit tracker, I think it helps. Like my ADHD brain really likes it, it likes to push the little buttons and see them change. So there are also like a ton of different ways to do the widget and a bunch of different aesthetics. This is just what mine looks like. So love that. The other thing I want to talk to you about in terms of a reset is basically coming up with, and I think these are great like ADHD things because again, I struggle, coming up with like a meal plan and a chore plan. I have not done the chore planning yet, so I can't really go into big detail about that. It's something that I'm working on. But as far as meal planning goes, every week, my husband and I have a money meeting where we sit and we talk about our finances. And that's been really good. That has helped us to build stability, what I've been talking about. But we also sit down and do meal planning. So we both contribute recipes and we do like a little grocery order. And every week, we always kind of have a staple breakfast. We usually do eggs and bacon. That's our breakfast. And then whatever we have for dinner that night carries into lunch the next day. That's like our thing. And then we buy like a few snacks. And that has been awesome. We stopped making a bunch of little mini purchases here and there because I'm also practicing intermittent fasting to help with insulin resistance for my PCOS. I will admit that intermittent fasting is not for everyone, but I do think it is good for me with where I'm at right now. It's helped me a lot with a lot of like heartburn. It helps me to not feel bloated before I go to bed, which also will keep me up at night. It's made like positive change for me. But I feel like doing the meal planning as well, it has like helped everything. It has helped us to keep like better tabs on our finances, which is helping us build better stability, which is something I'm really concerned about. It has helped with also the anxiety of like showing up for dinner and not having a plan and just having to like bullshit your way through it when you're already hungry and overstimulated. I just feel like showing up with that like soft plan. It doesn't have to be this, we're eating this, we're eating this, we're eating this, we're eating this. It can be, here's a collection of recipes that we have this week. Which one sounds like fun to make tonight? And like I said, every time we do this, and I say we because it is like a communal effort for me and my spouse. Every time we do this, we just put away half of the food before we even eat, and that's lunch the next day. So we always have our regular breakfast. There's always lunch ready made, and then one of us cooks dinner that night. If my husband is home from work, he will usually do it. If he's not and he's working late, I will do it, and I'll just put his leftovers for dinner that night and lunch away. And I just feel like it's not so crazy as to like meal plan for a couple of hours every like 4 days, which like that, if that works for you, I love that for you. I am currently not in a place where that works for me. I like this plan. I feel like it works very well. And I also have worked on just setting timers for things like at 5 p.m., which is funny because we're almost there right now while I'm filming this. At 5 p.m., I know that my dinner alarm is going to go off, telling me I need to go look at the kitchen and see if it's clean so that I can make dinner or my spouse can make dinner, or tell him, hey, can you see if the kitchen's cleaned up? If it's not, one of us gets to that and then we make dinner. And like, I used to be someone, y'all, that I was so dysregulated. I wasn't eating until like 10 or 11 o'clock at night because I wasn't like, ADHD will just get away from you like that. And you're not like recognizing that you're hungry. You're not noticing your bodily cues. You're so dysregulated and overstimulated. You're cooking dinner anxious as fuck. Like if you relate to me, please, please, please leave me like a cheetah emoji down below if you relate to what I'm saying. Like, I can't be cooking dinner like that. I can't be an anxious mess. I already deal with enough generalized anxiety. I recently got officially diagnosed with agoraphobia. Like, I cannot be more anxious. We need to be cutting that out. So my reset is very much about that. It's very much like, how can I get more calm into my life? How can I not be doing the great lock-in, but also meeting the standard that I want to have for my life in a really gentle way? So I feel like with a meal plan, that's golden. I love that. And I also feel like, oh my God, y'all, I just need to tell you, because I know there are other people out there that relate. My husband and I did our finances for groceries. We were spending an obscene amount of money on groceries. Like it was costing us more than our rent. And so we like totally made a budget, cut our budget that we were on in half, and it's actually really been working. Like this week, I feel like my husband and I made out like bandits. Like our grocery bill was so small this week because we were able to like capitalize on foods that we'd previously bought or use things that we'd had like left over from the week before. And just, I really feel like it's working for us. And I would encourage you, if you feel like you're just like bleeding money on food in this economy, come up with a plan that works for you, no matter what that looks like, and try sticking to it for a week and just see what happens. See if it actually does make a difference. And with chore planning, I don't want to go too heavily into this because I haven't really fully formed it yet. But with chore planning, this to me is more about like, I just feel like my home is not cluttered. It's pretty picked up 90% of the time, but my home is like dirty, y'all. Like there is dust on so much shit in my house. My floors need to be mopped, they need to be swept. Like there is just so much gross in my house right now. Like the things that are used every day are very clean, like the toilet's clean, the kitchen sink is clean, the like there are things that are clean, but I feel like the corners of my house are just dusty and nasty and my floors are gross. And I really feel like I want to come up with some kind of comprehensive way of obviously splitting the tasks between me and my spouse because we both work, but also trying to like have a routine. Like I do always do the laundry in our house, and my husband, I'm going to say like 99.9% of the time always does the dishes. Like that's kind of our split. We both do the chore that the other person doesn't want to do. But that's like all we've been doing, like the bare minimum. And everything else in my house is dirty. So I'm trying to come up with like, my friend does like the first of every month. And I was like, that's a really good idea. I could see doing the first of every month, or like maybe every full moon, or in between the new moon and full moon, those other lunations, like having some kind of cleaning chart together for myself and my spouse. I don't know. I just feel like it's a need that I'm seeing. I think that when my house is dirty, it makes my ADHD worse. And if I could just have some semblance of routine, I think it would like genuinely really help. So I just wanted to mention that in terms of like a reset, something to consider, like maybe putting yourself on a schedule instead of saying like, oh, that thing is dirty and it feels overwhelming. What if every day you had a different room that you just like cleaned and tidied, and it became like 15 minutes out of every day, but then your home was always clean? You know what I'm saying? Like, I think there are ways of combating it. And I also want to touch on, how is this fall? Because we're talking about all this stuff and I'm like, how is it fall though? Let's make it fall. Before I talk about that, I do just want to give a quick shout out to my Patreon. If you would like to support me and the making of this podcast, please support me on Patreon. You get all of my vlogs and lifestyle content, astrology reports, which we've kind of touched a lot on today. I've talked a lot about the eclipses and the astrology of right now. There is a full breakdown already available on my Patreon, extra pick a cards, and newly, they just added a live feature to Patreon. So I think it'd be really cool if I did like some live streams over there, maybe sometime this fall, maybe getting into winter. I thought about doing like tarot card readings for patrons or something. I don't know. Or chart readings, maybe just doing like a couple of free events, or they're not free because they're on Patreon, but like, you get what I'm saying? Like, it's not like you have to go to my website and purchase one of those services. It'd be like a hell of a discount. So something I'm considering, but in any case, check out my Patreon. It supports the making of this show. And if you love what I'm doing here, please come and support me. And let's go ahead and talk about how we're making this fall. So I don't have too many tips on this. I just am a big believer in, at the turn of a season, like asking yourself, like I said, where the poison in your life is, and then deciding to change it. But we're making it cozy with a few things. Number one, the fall drinks. Okay. Every time I'm doing something, I have a fall drink. So my favorite currently is just doing pumpkin coffee with a pumpkin creamer. And then I do collagen powder in it because I really like the protein benefit. But I also really, really enjoy, just having like a bone broth. I love a good bone broth. My favorite is the baron bone. It's like a packet you can just dissolve in water. The chicken or the beef are really good. I also really enjoy these are probably not the best for you, but as a little treat, a little sneaky treat, I enjoy it. I like a vitamin water zero. I like putting the triple X into a wine glass so it looks like I'm drinking some wine, but really it's just like juice and 0 calories, of course. I feel like in today's world, I'm not saying that I think sweeteners are the best for us or like all the artificial shit, but if you're somebody that struggles with insulin resistance, PCOS, like there is no reason to buy regular sugar vitamin water. Please buy the diet. Buy the zero, buy the diet. You are doing yourself at least somewhat of a favor. Even though, again, I'm not saying those are like the peak of health. I do think that they're not the best for us, but if you're just having them as like a treat, I think it's just like a fun little thing to have. Also, last week I touched on apple cider in the crock pot. Put a little apple cider in the crock pot, okay? Put a little apple cider in the crock pot and enjoy that. Also, we are making it fall in cozy by doing cozy meals. I have a couple of recipes for you in the Yapper Girl Corner section of the episode coming up later in this episode, so stick around for that. You know, when you're doing your meal planning, do some cozy fall meals. Add some soups in there, some stews. Put in some, you know, a little bit of pumpkin baked goods if you're into that. And also, I feel like this is a given, but like, especially because we talked about like my habit of just building on walking again. I feel like going outside for those walks. If you live where the weather is getting crisper and a little bit nicer, I would say go outside, enjoy the nature that is abundantly available to you. Go and spend time around those trees that are changing. And for me, I feel so blessed and so lucky to live where, like, right out my balcony, I have a huge tree that changes colors in the fall. And I'm just now starting to see like the pops of red, the pops of orange. And I'm just like, oh my God, it's so fall. And I know like come the end of October, I know that this tree is going to be fully orange like this. It's going to be so pretty. And I've just been spending like more time out on my balcony as it's been cooler and just like drinking my little bone broth, journaling. It's been such a vibe. So 10 out of 10 recommend that. It's funny that I was just talking about that in the episode, but I actually brought some of this vitamin water zero and a wine glass with me for the Yapper Girl Corner today. I just feel like vitamin water. See, like, isn't that so cute? And like, we don't have to drink alcohol to drink out of a cute little glass. We can get some electrolytes, get a little juicy without all of the hangovers that come at, like, I can't be the only one in my 30s that like when you drink, you're hungover for like 2.5 days. Like the hangovers of your 20s are not the same in your 30s. And I just don't drink anymore because it's just not worth it. Also, like it inflames my joints too. It's just no. Oh my goodness, my girly pops, my girly pops, my girly pops. How are you? The Yapper Girl Corner, I feel like is probably my favorite part of the episode because I feel like it's like the most all of it's me, but I feel like I'm not trying to explain any like big concepts. I'm just like sitting here vibing, talking. If you're unfamiliar and you're new with the podcast, the Yapper Girl Corner, which is this segment, is where I put my cozy jammies on. I'm chilling. I get myself usually a little bevy and I just kind of give you the happening on what's going on in my life, what I'm excited about. And right now, I first want to share just some cozy recipes with you. I swear, when my website gets done, I do want to have like a recipe corner for y'all. Eventually, I'm going to launch a cookbook. I don't know when. It's not even close to being ready. I have like such minimal work that I have done on that project, but someday, even if it's just a PDF, there will be a Cozy Babes Club cookbook someday. But I really want on my website to have a section just for recipes and like literally just for recipes. I'm not here trying to like write my fucking life story and then give you the recipe with a bunch of fucking ads on the website. When I finally do recipe cards, like they're going to be the recipe at the top, no ads. And then the bottom, I might say a few things if you want to read it. Like, I'm so done with the way that we have done things in today's world to make a fucking dollar. I'm over it. And I understand like that is somebody's whole life and business model, but like sometimes I just want a muffin recipe and I don't want to read about how you came up with this muffin recipe because your son had 10 allergies after a car accident. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not trying to be insensitive, but just give us the recipes. Like, anyways, the tea and the shade. So, first of all, I have a recipe for you that you get a pen and a paper, pull out your notepad on your phone. If you're somebody that eats chicken, this recipe and you like a little bit of spice, oh my God. This recipe is going to knock your socks off. Okay. It is my current obsession. I'm not letting myself eat it this week because I'm the kind of person that I will eat something until I hate it. And I don't want to hate this recipe. So I'm like, no, Chloe, you need to take a week off. I have made it twice now. It's so easy. It's laughable. So here's what you need. You need a jar of pepperoncinis from just like a jar from the store, jar pepperoncinis, everything in the store. What am I even saying? Um, Jar of pepperoncinis. You need probably like 4 to 6 chicken thighs. No, I do no bone, boneless chicken thighs. Uh, you can do them frozen or fresh. That's completely up to you, but you need about 4 to 6 of them. Chicken thighs. You need a packet of au jus seasoning mix, a packet of ranch seasoning mix, and maybe like a half of a stick of butter cut up into 5 or 6 pads of butter. And this recipe, usually when you find it online, it's done with a roast. I would argue with you that the chicken thigh version is better. I like it more. So in your crock pot, you spray it, you put your chicken thighs down, you sprinkle half the packet of the au jus seasoning, half the packet of the ranch seasoning, maybe like 12 pepperoncinis. I just rip the stems off of them, but like do it over the crock pot so the juice goes into the crock pot. 12 pepperoncinis ish. You can add more or less depending on how much spice you like. You can cut them up, but I don't because I want it to be easy. You put a little bit of the pepperoncini juice from the jar in here, and then you put the pads of butter on top. Put the lid on that, low and slow. If the chicken is fresh, 4 to 6 hours. If it's frozen, I would say 6 to 8 hours. When it is done, you shred up that chicken. You serve it over mashed potatoes, however you want to make them. Put a little bit of that sauce on top from the bottom with all the chickeny drippings and all of the pepperoncini juice and the au jus seasoning and the ranch seasoning. Oh my God. This recipe is like one of the most comforting, delicious. You will not be disappointed. Your family will love this recipe. If they don't like spice, I don't really know what to tell you. I like spice. I don't find that pepperoncinis for me are hot, but I know some people, if you're that's rude. Don't say baby, Chloe. I was like, if you're a baby about spice, like you maybe don't like that. You could maybe do this recipe with something milder. I wouldn't because I think the pepperoncinis really add to the recipe, but even just doing the chicken thighs with the seasoning and the butter, I think would be good because that au jus sauce at the bottom of the crock pot is like really almost like a gravy like it's like a really thin gravy that comes out, and it's just over the mashed potatoes with the shredded chicken. It's so good. This recipe, just make it. Okay, just make it. Secondary recipe I have for you is I have been making this nonstop. It is just the Libby's pumpkin bread recipe, which like you can look that up anywhere online. Libby's, Libby''S, Libby's pumpkin bread. But I do about half the sugar that it calls for the loaf. And then I've been making my own cream cheese frosting where I don't have measurements for this. I'll try to guesstimate it for you, but I'll do like maybe a third of a block of cream cheese, a couple tablespoons of butter, a couple splashes of milk, cinnamon, like half a teaspoon of cinnamon. And then powdered sugar just to the consistency that you like it. So like you could make it thicker if you add more powdered sugar or less. And if it's too thick, you can add milk to thin it out. This cinnamon cream cheese frosting is so good. I don't frost the entire top because some people don't like that on their pumpkin bread. I like to leave the option. I like to spread it on each piece like that I'm going to eat. Oh my god. It's to me it makes it more savory even though it has powdered sugar in the recipe. I find that I don't use as much powdered sugar, and I also don't put as much sugar in the bread. So it's more of like it is sweet, but to me it's like the perfect sweetness. Y'all know me, I don't like super sweet things. So I just, oh my god, it's so good. Just make it. Just make it. I know that that's not like mind blowing. Oh, a pumpkin recipe with a cream cheese frosting, but I had never done that before. Cream cheese frosting has been new to my life, and doing a cream cheese frosting, you could also do like nutmeg or pumpkin pie spice in the frosting. Oh my God. It's so. I think I might have to make more of that today. Like, it is so unbelievably good. Just make it. I do want to talk about in my Yapper Girl corner just a little bit starting therapy because I'm sighing in a good way. This is the first time in my adult life that I have been able to go to therapy consistently because I am insured and I can actually go and get the care that I need consistently. And y'all know that I have been through the ringer with my mental health for the last like 4 years in particular. It was really bad. There have been time periods in there that have been really bad. But I have only been once. We're still just kind of learning about each other, which I think that is like a big mark of a good therapist. Like, if anybody out there is like getting into therapy or thinking about it, take it from somebody who's been in that and has studied a lot of depth psychology. To me, a big green flag of a therapist is somebody that doesn't try to go into the deep with you right away. Like, somebody that says like, we're going to spend a few sessions getting to know each other, because if you try to go straight into the deep end, it'll sometimes leave you with feelings of like distrust or anxiety. And it's because that person doesn't know you. Like, and so building the relationship first, seeing if you're a good fit, seeing if like the vibes are vibing. I can tell you from meeting number one, I think me and this therapist are really going to like, the click was clicking. It was good. It was giving very green flag energy. And like, you know how, I don't know if any of y'all experience this. I think I'm a people person. So I feel like I'm very quick. I'm very good at judging character. I'm very good at sussing out, like, I don't know if this is something that has just come with time or like trial as well, but I'm very good at being like, oh, this person is for me. This person isn't for me. I'm very good at, I think it's actually hard to swindle me when it comes to forming human relationships. I'm not saying it can't happen, but I do feel like I'm a very good, like, intuitive judge of character. And I just feel like me and this therapist, the conversation was very easy. Like, it was very easy. I felt like it was easy for me to talk to her. And sometimes, like, I've had experiences where I've gone to see a psychiatrist that was a horrible experience, that like I could tell from the moment we started conversing, she was judging everything about me. And like, I know part of that was like her job, but the other, like, it just, I'm not even going to go into it, but like the things that were said in that psychiatry room, like, this was just not somebody that should have been doing psychiatry. But no, this therapist, like, I could just really tell, I think that we're going to be a good fit. And I'm excited to see how the next few sessions go. My therapist is an IFS therapist, which I have talked to y'all about this numerous times, that when I finally got a therapist, this was what I wanted. I wanted somebody that didn't only do CBT. I wanted somebody that did IFS therapy or like EMDR or did somatic work. I wanted a somatic therapist. And I found it. I found it, worth the wait. I'm so excited. I know I'm probably going to like have weeks where I feel wrecked, because that's how therapy is. Sometimes you got to open shit and feel some shit so that you can get better. I don't anticipate this is going to be the most joyous journey, but I'm so happy that I'm finally being able to be helped. Like, for the first time, because I've seen therapists in the last 4 years. I've actually had one psychiatrist and two psychiatrists, two different therapists. One therapist was really awesome, but I don't think that we were a good fit. Like, I don't think she actually knew how to help me. Um, she was a really cool person. Like, I could have seen myself being friends with someone like her, but not in a therapeutic setting. Another therapist I had was like through BetterHelp because I was working with them at the time. And he was okay. I just don't think I do well with a male therapist at this point in my life. It just like wasn't, it just, I can already tell you the experience that I've had from the last two. This therapist knows something different. And it just, I feel like my last two therapists, one of them kind of went in a direction that I genuinely don't think she knew how to help me. Genuinely. I don't think she knew how to help me. She was very focused on like family relationships, which her certification was LMFT, which is like licensed marriage and family therapist, which is not a bad thing, but that was her whole angle, was like managing relationships, and like that's how you would get better. And I just didn't need that. Like, that wasn't my issue. I was having panic attacks. I needed help with trauma. Um, with like trauma and nervous system regulation and somatic work. And she just didn't specialize in that. And then the other therapist, he was so quick to like try to solve my problem from the first meeting. And I just feel like, to me, that's not for myself. That's not a mark of a good therapist. They don't know you well enough to try to solve your problems. Like, and also like, you should be the person solving your problems. They're just supposed to kind of help guide you there. Anyways, I could talk about this all day, but my point is, I started therapy. I really like my therapist. I think this is going to be a good thing. I really think I'm finally going to like be getting the help I need to actually process like the events of 2021. And I also did get confirmation that I am agoraphobic. I do have agoraphobia. I used to tell y'all all the time that I thought it was just like a tendency. I wasn't really sure. But no. And I will say this, I think that diagnoses, they are so helpful if they are helpful. Like, sometimes you get a diagnosis and like you just kind of live in terror of that diagnosis, and you're like, oh no, like if it doesn't actually help you to get help, it's like not necessarily a good, because that's what diagnoses are supposed to do. Like, you're supposed to get the answer so that then you can get the help. And this diagnosis, because I felt like I already knew, it was actually like a good confirmation for me of being like, oh, you agree with what I think. And now I am relieved to know that this is something I don't have to live with. This is something that I can work on in therapy and I can get better. So yeah, I officially do have agoraphobia. It's not just agoraphobic like tendencies. It is a full-fledged thing. I think something else I want to say is like, agoraphobia, it's not just like fear of crowds and large spaces. It's for me, and I've talked about this before. If you're unfamiliar with me, hi. Hi, I talk about my anxieties and my mental health really loudly on the internet, because I don't think, even in the day and age of 2025, we are talking about it enough. And so many people, when I talk about these things, get so much out of it. Like, other people that experience these things or have even had help through these things, or, X, Y, and Z. It can be a very helpful thing. And I don't think it should have stigma around it. I think we should be talking about it. But for me, it presents with, I get like afraid, and I know it doesn't make sense. Okay. That's why it's agoraphobia. It doesn't make cognitive sense, but I have this like deep fear of, when I leave my home or place of residence, I am so afraid of a like medical emergency happening, or having a panic attack and not being at home to cope properly, that I'm just going to like be off my rocker in public. And on top of that, I also deal with a lot of like chronic body issues. And I'm afraid that like those things are going to happen while I'm out, and I'm not going to have access to a bathroom if I need it, or I'm not going to have access to medicine if I need it, or, whatever it might be. there is this, even though I know like there are public toilets everywhere, I could probably always find a doctor anywhere. Like I know that those things are true, but it's just like it makes me feel like I can't enjoy my life outside. And the less I go outside, the worse that it gets. The more I do exposure therapy, which I know is eventually what probably me and my therapist will be doing. When I do exposure therapy, I get better. So I know that that's probably going to be my future. Not right now, because, we're just learning things. And like exposure therapy, I think will be the eventual though, because that is how you work through agoraphobia is through exposure therapy. So eventually I'm going to be doing all kinds of exposure therapy, but I just really want to be in a place where I can be calm in my nervous system and live my life. I feel like a lot of my life I have not had that, be it the childhood that I grew up with, be it the hardships of adulthood that I've dealt with, that I didn't have the answers on how to fix them, nor any guideposts or help to do it. I really feel like I've kind of been like a lone wolf all of my life, fending for myself. And I feel like if I could be so brash about it, I'm ready to like, this is going to sound so stupid, but I'm ready to welcome that wolf into the den. I'm ready to like be the calm presence that I need. I'm ready to stop looking outside myself for all of the answers. I'm ready to, and this is why, like, I think this actually kind of does go in tandem with the episode we had today, because I think so much of my adult life has been, how can I productivity this feeling away? How can I make enough money so that I can get the care that I need? But ultimately, it was just me coping and keeping myself busy. Um, I think there's a lot tied up in that. And I think I think I'm really on like a good stabilizing thing right now. I think that even though I know that it's not going to be just like an uphill thing, I'm sure I'm going to take some steps forward and take 3 steps back. And that is kind of how healing works. You take some steps forward, you take a few back, and you just kind of got to keep doing that. So like, I anticipate that this is not going to be like the easiest journey. I mean, maybe it will be, who knows? Maybe doing this will actually be like the best thing ever. And like, it could have been easier and I've been doing it on hard mode. I think I'm always hopeful for that. But I'm just, as I stated in my last few episodes, I am just really not at war with myself. I am not at war with myself. I am not in the business of judging myself constantly. I am not in the business of picking myself apart and trying to do better and be superhuman so that my life can come together. I am one person doing the best that I can with the tools that I have. And I'm really okay with that. I feel like the thing that I'm trying to say and convey is like, I am very much in a place of acceptance of myself. And it's not perfect. There are times when I don't feel like I accept myself, but I don't feel like I'm in this like constant, why can't I be better? Or I don't deserve it. Or, I just don't feel like I'm there. I feel like I'm in this like, we are regaining our wise inner self. We are regaining and repiecing together our wisest inner self and showing up as her every single day. And I'm also like not afraid to process the heavy shit. I'm not afraid to touch the things that hurt me and let myself feel that pain. And I think that's a beautiful thing. I know I already kind of touched on it, but y'all, it really is that damn phone. Like, social media is the killer. You really can put the phone down, and somebody will tell you if something major happens. You do not need to be at the pulse of this thing all the time. Like, we don't like fill your time with more art, more creativity, more poetry, more people, more laughing, more meals. You get one life. I do not want to roll up to my deathbed and be like, damn, I spent a quarter of my life doom scrolling on TikTok. You know what I'm saying? Like, I understand what a privilege it is to be in that place, but I am telling you, if you have the privilege, please exercise it. You do not need to be dysregulated, hurting yourself every day, living in this state of constant fear and panic. I don't know about you, I'll speak for myself. I do think I'm very sensitive, and I will lose sleep. I will be like hyperventilating when I am watching too much news and like sweating. I will have physical bodily reactions to these things. It is very triggering for me. This is editing Chloe from the future. I felt like I needed to add a little thing to this video because I think it's important to note that I'm not just speaking from this place of like, it's not just privilege that I will openly admit that I have privilege, and I say that openly. I recognize that it's a privilege to be able to put things down. But something that I don't think I have ever talked about before is that growing up in the Mormon church, I was constantly taught that the end of days was coming and you needed to be good. The apocalyptic like things were happening. Nations were going to crumble. The world was going to end. We were going to have foreign invasion. And like up until I was probably about 33, like within the last like year and a half, I still, even though I had been out of the Mormon church, ex-Mormon, had denounced that faith many, many years prior to this, I still had this internal belief that I had never questioned about like the end of days and foreign invasion. And so even though there are a lot of things that I have deconstructed in my life, I still get triggered by big world events, not just on this level of course, it triggers everybody. It's really horrific. But I'm also dealing with something that I was born into that was ingrained into my mind to be afraid of this. And I just wanted to openly say that like I'm not just coming from this place of privilege, that is part of it, but it's also, it's yes and it's this place of privilege and this place of being brainwashed to believe a certain way that causes a trauma response or a trigger in me. And this is probably something me and my therapist are going to have to go through together. But yeah, I just wanted to talk about that for a minute because I don't think I've ever mentioned it, that I deal with like a very real life trigger from being brainwashed the first 18 years of my life, something that I was born into. I was born into a cult. And we probably should do like a whole episode on cults one day. Like I would love to sit and talk about like the weird shit that I was raised with and like how I thought that was just normal when it totally wasn't. Anyways, back to the show. I don't think it's because I'm a baby. I think I'm just really sensitive. And I think that I am my best self and able to show up and care for people the best, which I think is what the world needs more of, is more connection, more community, more people that give a shit. I am my best self when I'm not attached to that shit all the time. And when big things happen, somebody's going to tell you. Somebody will tell you. So yeah, I think my interlude, like off of social media, has been a total net positive. Like, y'all, I have gotten into bedazzling. I have gotten into building more Legos. I've played so many more video games. I've read so many books. I feel like I have done so much shit over the last 2 weeks. And also, like, my nervous system just feels better. Like, I'm not in this, like, fight or flight all the time, hustle, hustle, freak out. Like, the other day, I'll put a picture in the video. I lit these stick candles that I found when I was cleaning, and I just like romanticized cooking dinner. I was just like, this is so nice. Like, I put on some jazz, I lit some candles, I made this really hearty soup for my family while my husband was at work. I danced in the kitchen, I sang in the kitchen, I washed the dishes with this like big, grateful heart. And I was just like, wow, like this is what this life is worth living. Like, this is what it feels like to be in the present moment and to be so full of the present. And it just feels so good. Also, y'all, my best friend is coming to visit me for Halloween. I'm so excited. I feel like I have something big to look forward to. I'm also planning a trip to Halloween Town, which is between here and Oregon, where I live, like in Washington. It's between Oregon and Washington. Planning a trip to Halloween Town. I'm going to see some of my other out-of-state friends that are going to be visiting Oregon. I'm also potentially going to go to the Tillamook factory, where the people that do the cheese and they do like cheese and ice cream and butter. Their cheese and butter and ice cream to me are the best. Like, if I buy any of that, I always want the Tillamook brand. But they do like cheese tours and ice cream tours. And I think we might be doing one of those. My 12 years, is it 12 years? How many years? 13, 14, 15. Yeah, 12 years. It's my 12-year wedding anniversary this month with me and my husband. Like, it's fall and it is a fucking mood. I am just like in love with life. Not every day. There are sometimes moments where I'm like, oh, life is stressing me. But I'm telling you, since like deciding to drop out off the internet and just like live a normal civilian life. I say civilian because I feel like I've been chronically online for 15 years, like living a life where I am not constantly sharing every moment of my life and I'm not constantly making content out of every moment of my life. It has been so good. It has been so good. And I just really feel like the part of my life that I'm coming into right now, no, not everything will is perfect. I think I'm still working through things. I'm just like, you know what it is? This is so sad. Ugh, I'm not depressed. That's what it is. I'm not depressed. I'm not depressed. I have dealt with a lot of depression over the last 4 years. I'm not depressed. I'm anxious sometimes, but I'm not depressed. And like, I'm just really happy. Genuinely. I've said this so many times in the last few episodes. I am so happy. And even though like everything is not perfect and there are terrible things, like I'm not at war with myself and I'm really happy. And I hope that energy transfers to you. And I hope I've given you some good ideas on how to like build up beautiful moments in your life. Anyways, that's all I wanted to say. That's Yapper Girl Corner. Let me know. Leave me that cheetah emoji if you related to anything I said. Um, and if you would like to follow me more around the web, please do so. Check out my Patreon, which I already talked to you about. I am at Chloe Taylor on all the social medias, even if I'm not really using them right now. I've thought about like scheduling content again and just like scheduling on one day a week and then just not really using the platforms. Like if you wanted more of that, I don't really know. I haven't decided what my approach is moving forward, but I just feel like right now I'm kind of like sitting with that and how I want to approach, but you can follow me if you want. Excuse me. You can follow me if you would like to. I also have private readings will be open maybe by the time this is up. Check out my website, chloetaylor.com, for astrology and tarot readings. I'm currently reworking the website, reworking my offerings, not changing prices or anything. Just I didn't like the aesthetic of what was going on there. So we're working through that right now. I'm taking like new photos, doing rewritings of things, changing what I offer. It's been a whole process. So check that out if you're wanting that from me. And thank you so much for all of your love and support. Tell me down below with the cheetah emoji 3 things that you're grateful for. And if you don't feel like you have gratitude in your heart right now, I really get it. I really get it. I have been through some shit and some times where I'm like, what the fuck is there to be grateful for? Fuck this hellscape. I really understand. If you don't feel like you have gratitude in your heart right now, tell me what is one thing you can do today to romanticize your life and then go do that thing. Tell me what you're going to do and then go do it. Use my romanticization of things as inspo. I really want to do an episode talking more about that, like romanticizing your life core. Maybe we'll do that next time. I don't know. Anyways, thank you for letting me yap on and on. And I love you so much. I appreciate you. Please do not forget, when you stand on your own authenticity, you empower everyone around you to do the same. I will talk to you in the next one. Bye.